the character of Bruce, Kyle Bruce, is not necessarily me, but there's a lot of me in all the characters because I wrote the fucking thing. But also
that is how writing tends to go.
But it's not. Yeah, none of it's all.
Did we just do a cold open, or are we?
Is that a cold open?
Is this a cold open?
We've been doing cold opens a bit lately.
I'm quite warm, so can't be cold. We're away.
Energize. On screen. Make it so. On screen. Come. Stand by for source of separation. What is it you want, Q? What is it you want, Q? Greed, number one. What is it, Doctor?
Am I meant to be courtesy laughing?
Hello.
No.
Okay.
Hello, and welcome to How Much for Just the Podcast.
Welcome to How Much for Just the Podcast, the latest in our increasingly erratic release schedule.
Yeah.
I'm Damo.
I'm Mick, and our special guest.
Eris.
I'm Mick's kid.
Mick's kid, Eris. And
I use they, them, by the way.
they, them, Eris.
Thank you.
This week we're back on Enterprise time travel-y bullshit to see the episode that nearly made Jeffrey Dean Morgan quit acting.
Yeah, so Enterprise Season 3, Episode 11, Carpenter Street.
Carpenter Street.
Just want to make sure that's said at least once up front, because sometimes I've been halfway through the edit and gone, we never actually mentioned what we're talking. Have we? Yeah.
I mean, it's in the episode title.
I know, but it's also like, I like to just like know that it's done.
Yeah.
So I don't have to think about it halfway through the episode. I don't go halfway through the episode. Have we ever? No.
Why start thinking now?
There is an important disclaimer that needs to be set up top.
Indeed. Would you like to just...
Yeah, I have not seen the episode.
You didn't really miss much.
Yeah, flatly refused to watch the episode.
You did tell me to watch it, and you said I could watch it.
Yeah.
And I was going to, but
I
then
knew you wouldn't.
But then I got busy playing Final Fantasy 14.
That's fair.
And also Monster Hunter Rise. I've been getting back into that.
Ugh.
I think the main notable thing about this episode is this is the first episode set in a time period where you existed.
Oh, fun. For those who don't know, I was born in the year 2000.
This episode is set in 2004.
Yeah.
Oh, I was 4.
Yeah.
Fun.
You're in kinder.
It's after 9/11.
It is.
Yes.
Fun.
Even terrorism cops are mentioned.
Ooh. They do
And
love
prostitution.
And prostitution.
And drugs.
Yes.
It's all very,
There are sex workers in it.
It's all very grunge.
There's
Do they say the word whore? Because whore is making a comeback and I'm excited about it.
They don't actually. Even in the cast list, like the characters are listed as prostitute 1.
Of course.
But nobody says that's what they are, even though they clearly are.
They're not allowed to say. It's a secret.
Yes, no. It was a PG show at the time, I think.
No, I'm very excited about whore making a comeback. I feel like gay people are bringing back a lot of words for prostitute as a positive thing.
I feel like, speaking of sex workers, I feel like sex workers have been slowly reclaiming the word whore for the last,
Yes. Did you know that I have a favorite sex worker?
You have a favorite sex worker?
Yeah, her name's Mikami Yua. She's a Japanese adult video actress. She's retired now, actually.
Mm.
And last year when I went to Japan, I actually saw her.
Oh.
I met her and I got her to sign a nude photo book.
Excellent.
It was her last ever nude photo book.
Last ever?
Yeah, because she was retiring
of course.
from the AV industry. She's still active as an idol and as a business mogul. She has a fashion brand, an eye contact lenses brand.
Contact lens brand.
Yeah, she's doing a lot of stuff. I love her.
Yeah,
well done.
Is this what the episode's about?
It is now.
This is like normally our tangents go off to other sci-fi franchises. This time we've just gone straight to adult films.
I do think that if given the opportunity, I will tell you all about Espa because I think there's a lot of crossover between Star Trek and Espa, the K-pop group, that I could go on a tangent at any moment. You just have to give me the go-ahead.
I think you just did.
I have a lot more to say.
Okay.
How much Korean representation is there in Star Trek? I mean, there's not a lot, but there's not none.
Are there any?
Hoshi Sato's...
That's the Japanese. Sato Hoshi is a Japanese name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought she's canonically Korean.
Well,
I could be remembering that
Hoshi
wrong.
means star in Japanese, and Sato is a very common Japanese last name.
Yes, but also they had a Japanese character called
remember it. You can do it.
yeah, Hikaru Sulu.
Oh,
Which is
Hikaru.
Hikaru is
Hikaru, I think, just means light, or it might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Sulu.
In Japanese, it'd be suru, not Sulu.
Yeah, yeah.
But it actually kind of is like it's a particle at the end of verbs to say that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Currently.
It was
So
The
it
character-
could. Oh, it could be like light doing light, something like that. Hikari suru.
Okay.
Kind of
Doing
makes
light?
sense.
I've got a feeling you may have already put more thought into it than Jen Joplin.
Yeah, generally, absolutely. have. Like it was the '60s. It was lucky he wasn't named. I don't know. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to go into the
Japanese crewman number 4.
If you want to really
It's not
if
egg
you want
foo.
the most if you want like the most John Smith of Japanese names, you either go Tanaka or Yamada.
Mhm.
Or honestly, Sato is pretty common.
Sato. yeah.
Or Suzuki.
Tetsuo.
Suzuki, yeah.
Suzuki.
Tetsuo.
Toshiba.
Tetsuo is just an Akira.
I was fishing for someone to come back with a Kaneda.
I forgot.
I was just like,
How is his name actually? I always hear people say Kaneda, and I've never actually seen it written in Japanese, so I don't know if that's
I'm just
actually
going like,
pronunciation.
from like, me and my friends watching the
Oh,
original Akira movie
in the dub
80s.
they say Kaneda.
in the
don't
original,
they?
in the original 80s dub, it was like there was just like this endless Tetsuo,
So-
Kaneda, Tetsuo, Kaneda. It was just back and forth, and we just do that in the car
It is
on
def-
road trips.
It is definitely Canada. I'm looking at it now. It's definitely Canada. It's not Canada, but I do like it. Listen.
like
They got the dubs wrong in the '80s.
I know.
Oh,
Who'd
they
have
get them
thought?
wrong now.
They get, yeah, of course they do.
Oh, in the Persona series, they have some terrible ones. The most famous is at least to me right now, the most famous is in Persona 5 Royal. There's a character named Takamaki-an.
Mm.
But in the English version, they say Takamaki. And
Takamaki.
it's very funny to me.
They got the
It's-
emphasis wrong.
Yeah, it's very funny to no one except people who know Japanese.
It's also very Australian. That's a bit of an Australian drawl.
It's very,
Takamaki.
it's Takamaki.
Takamaki.
Takamaki-an. They don't say Anne. Like the English pronunciation of, like her name is Anne. Like the
A-double-N-A.
yeah. No E.
No,
Yeah.
A-double-N.
Yeah, so it's because she's half, I think she's like a quarter American or something. So she
Okay.
has like An as like a name, but they use the Japanese pronunciation of An, but whatever they use for Takamaki, which is nothing.
Just thinking, there's a really good famous 5 anime take I think we could get out of that.
Oh, what's
Julian Dick and Arn, you know.
Right,
Yeah.
of course.
I'm sorry.
This
Dick
famous.
and Arm? What?
Yeah. So you may have heard your father mention the famous 5
Yes.
more than a couple of times.
Uh-huh.
That's
Is that the one with the trans character in it?
Kind of, sort of. I mean, I've got a lot to say about that. I mean, I
know you have a lot to say
I
about it.
feel like I'm possibly on the verge of becoming one of the leading Enid Blyton scholars.
Yes.
How much competition do you have there? Like, is it a very broad field?
Not none.
I'd
Not
say
none.
not none.
Of course, it's not none. The internet's a very broad place.
No, but I do have a piece to say about this. It'll probably be the foreword to the book,
okay.
because you're not the only one who can write fan
All
fiction.
right.
I write fan fiction sometimes. You know what? I think your feelings about what's that character's name? Georgie?
Yeah, George.
George.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you feel about George the same way I feel about Carl J. Zoldyck, which is the guy I have the tattoo of.
Right.
Which I also have feelings about gender reasons for.
See, the thing is about George. George is often portrayed as a trans character, but
Yes.
I don't think that's the whole story. But also, I feel that it is unknowable
Yes.
because of the nature of the writing.
Because none of it's from first person's
Yeah,
perspective. None of
Yes.
like
it's
the
in-
way
yeah.
Enid always wrote was as a person describing what they saw.
Yes.
And if Enid's worldview didn't include certain things, Enid wouldn't have seen them.
Yes.
So again, it's just like, and also Enid reminds me of my grandmother for reasons. But this is a tangent for another thing. I mean, this is a tangent that I really do want to go on.
Yes.
But
We need a
so now
separate
we've
podcast for
avoided Eris's tangent that they really want to go on, and we've avoided your tangent that you really want to go on.
no, I mean,
I still have the Esper one ready and loaded.
I do want to go on this
the barrel.
tangent, but not with a ticking clock.
Not with a ticking clock. Yeah.
I need to develop this tangent.
Ooh, I
more.
also have a triple S rant. That's another one. It's less related to Star Trek, I think.
Okay.
I don't think I could.
Well-
I don't think I could like what's the word? Fucking
Go on, you can think of
when
it.
you-
You can
when you-
think of it.
Abbreviated?
segue.
Segue.
I don't think I could segue into the triple S one as easy
As
I
easily
could
from
as
Star Trek.
no,
Well,
but
what,
very easily from Star
what
Trek.
my
to
plan
Esper.
was, knowing that you probably would not watch the episode,
Yes.
was I figured just as a nod to our listening several, was that we could recount the plot as best we could recall. Because
Yes.
I watched the episode again last night.
I watched it again. I watched it last night while playing Half-Life 2, and I watched it this morning.
Right. So I watched it again last night, and just at the end of it, I realized that I just watched it, and I just realized I couldn't remember much about it.
Mm-hmm.
It just
There's not much of it.
There's not much there.
There's not a lot of stuff that happens.
Yeah.
Realistically.
So here's my off the cuff from about 12 hours.
Do you want me to interject as well?
Oh
Like,
yeah, no. By all
okay.
means, I'm just going to do a brief précis of what happens in the episode from how I remember it. So, it opens in Detroit in 2004
Yes.
with a guy who's obviously kidnapping prostitutes and
Jack the Ripper.
taking them
workers.
away into a warehouse where
It's
he's
2024. We're calling them sex workers. Sorry.
okay. Well, but
I think we should call them whores. We're reclaiming it. You don't seem to be on the same page as me.
Well, I mean,
I'm notorious in my friend group for being the person that loves whores. It's legit one of my character traits, I think.
it's easier to do when you're a young non-binary person rather than an aging white blokes to say that you love whores.
I'm basing my memory primarily on remembering the cast list where people were like prostitute number one.
Yes, well,
Yes.
They are listed as that.
Okay,
so, you know.
we'll call them prostitute.
So
prostitute number one and two or whatever.
okay, this guy kidnaps prostitute number one. No,
It could be prostitute number two. You
no,
don't know
no,
that yet.
no,
It
you're right.
was-
Because
it
no,
was number
it
two.
was number two because he spoke to number one. He turned down number one because he wanted her friend number two.
I see.
But basically because it transpired because of number two's blood type.
Okay.
Because he worked in a blood bank, you see.
Right.
And said prostitute number two was a blood donor
Okay.
who he remembered from earlier that day, and they had a little bit of banter and back and forth, and
He's
then
also-
he chloroformed her.
Also, like
Right.
he's doing this at the behest of a mysterious voice on the telephone. He got a phone call, like
Mysterious voice.
he got home, and he got a mysterious phone calls saying, "Hello, it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan." He didn't say that, but that's who it was.
Yes.
We need the next
We
one.
need the next one, and like to.
Mm-hmm.
So then he's gone in his car. He's pulled up to street walking whores.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
He drives up to prostitute number one and prostitute number two.
Yes. Their legal names, their government names.
That's
That's
what
on
they're
their
named in
ID.
the script. And so one comes over and does the whole are looking for a date, and he goes with your friend maybe, and so then prostitute number two, according to the script, walks over and anyway continue.
So they get chloroformed, taken back into a warehouse, and revealed that the voice on the telephone was a spiky reptilian alien.
Of course.
And then
played by
credits roll. Welcome to Star Trek Enterprise.
Yes.
Okay.
That was the cold open.
I will say I do remember that we watched all of the original Star Trek series
Yes.
over the course of a year, maybe. I don't
Yeah, I
remember.
can't
We watched it
remember.
over dinner.
It was the dinner viewing for a while. Yes.
I gotta be real. I don't remember any of it. We watched all of it. I remember the tribbles.
Yeah.
I remember them because there was a shot of them all falling from the ceiling, and I thought they were funny because I was maybe 8.
Do you remember the Kirk Spock homoeroticism?
I know of it later in life.
Yeah.
But-
That may have been formative for you.
yeah. Is
That-
it? I
that-
do
that- that
love.
could have.
I do love that their ship name is Cock. I think that's fun. Oh no, it's not Cock. It was going to be
It's
Cock.
Spurk.
It was going
It's
to be
Spurk,
Cock, but then it
really,
has
but
to be
yeah.
Spurk.
Yes.
Yes. I do think it's sad. It should be Cock.
Yeah. So anyway, having and I mean, this episode had the lowest ratings of any episode its season,
Pretty much, yeah.
and I think this is mostly
Fabulous.
because most people thought, oh, Star Trek isn't on tonight.
Pretty much. Like,
And-
it doesn't
and-
open as a Star Trek.
There is nothing.
Thing.
There's not a clue.
The only thing
it's like a
is
dramatic
the-
reveal at the end of the cold open.
Yeah.
Is like, there's an alien, which I'm sure, like, if you were watching it, you'd be going, is this really? Is this?
Yeah.
what's
There's
the-
cars driving around. This can't be the flying through space show that we normally watch at this time. Even even after the Enterprise and Archer and Archer and Porthos don't really appear in it until like about the 10-minute mark.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a whole lot that runs into it. And even then, even when Archer shows up, there's only 3 members of the main cast that are in this episode. Only 3, and one of those members is in it for 2 scenes in its entirety.
Yeah. And look, then what happens when the actual on the spaceship bit starts is a guy who we know is a time traveling dude.
Yes.
There's been lots of time travel fuckery in
Yep.
Enterprise.
And the omnipotent narrator knows.
So
that
this
it's a
guy
time
comes in and
travel
says, "I've got a mission for you. It's urgent." Which for a time traveler is like, huh? But to be fair, to
Which
Paul
is
on the car,
commented on.
to Paul calls this out in the show. They call it like the fact that he comes in and says, "We're in a hurry. There's no time to explain." It's like, it's just like it's called it in the episode. You're a time traveler. You're time traveling now. You're talking about us going into the past. How can this be time critical?
Why didn't
Yes.
you just travel back to the point that you needed us to go to? You've traveled back to our time to get us to go back to their time and bring them back to our time.
Why didn't you come back to us yesterday and say, you've got 24 hours to prepare?
Yeah.
It does seem like
It's
a misstep on his part.
It's also like a problem with the episode in that like there's barely any framing. Like there's barely any framing that's based in the 22nd century on Enterprise. There's bugger all of it, which means there's a lot of dead space in the middle of the episode. Like there's a whole scene. So let's keep going with the recap. But like there's a whole scene in the middle where they go and get hamburgers. It has no plot relevance whatsoever. Nothing happens with the hamburgers.
Maybe they were hungry.
Well, they wanted to point out that the Vulcan was a vegetarian.
Yeah, that's it.
Was that a funny bit, or is it just a
Not
note
really.
about
It was funny. It was just a thing that happened.
I mean, though,
a very important?
the dialogue actually ends like, he said, "Do you want some fries? They're veggie," and T'Pol goes, "No, thank you." His reply, "Have it your way," was the Burger King. Was it the
McDonald's?
That was the McDonald's. Like he actually
yeah.
dropped the advertising.
Yeah.
So maybe it was a paid spot.
It could be. That was.
Why wouldn't they have gone to McDonald's in the thing? Like, because it wasn't it wasn't a product placement thing, but it was like a little subtle reference.
It was a little joke, but yes, a little jokey joke.
It could be because that was the when did this episode air?
2004.
2003.
2003, yes.
So the episode's based in 2004, but it aired and was made in 2003.
Right. So I think that was before ads had to be disclosed, right? So it could have been an ad that they just didn't disclose.
But like, if it was an ad, they would put the Golden Arches, or the burger that they order is not a McDonald's burger. There's nothing McDonald's about the order that they make. It was just they went to get burgers because they needed to fill in 5 minutes in the episode because they had no framing narrative on either side of it. Normally, back in the day when Star Trek does these time travel-y episodes where only a couple of characters go back in time, they have these framing devices at the start, like the start of the Deep Space Nine one we did a few episodes ago, which was actually about 6 months ago we recorded it, I think. But the Deep Space Nine episode, Little Green Men, like at the start of the episode, they had this thing where all of the characters made an appearance, like all of the regular cast, but then the rest of the episode is only about 3 or 4 of them. Enterprise didn't do that. They just had 3 of the main characters, and only 2 of them have any real plot relevance.
Fun. I think that's fun.
But also, I have this feeling that, like, I don't know if they got their script, their episode premise piles mixed up, because when this guy comes in and gives them the briefing, seriously, this is just a video game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you've got to go back to this location where these rogue time travelers are doing rogue time traveling things. And when you find a thing that doesn't belong in that time period, put one of these little temporal tags on it so we can beam it back to the time it's supposed to be.
Wait, that's literally, as a TTRPG, that's exactly that.
Mm-hmm. When did that come out?
It's actually kind of new. Hang on.
Oh, okay. So it's like, I'm just wondering if someone was just like
What's
playing
it fucking called? It's like The Devil Tells a Story or something.
Mm.
It's called Stealing Stories for the Devil. It's exactly going back in time and finding anomalous objects that are causing disturbances in that time. And you have to go and get them.
Like we've gone through so the creepy guys kidnapping people for the Xindi reptilians, what we now know as the Xindi reptilians, which the future people knew, but like obviously kidnap face. Loomis. That's the guy's name. I was trying to remember the actor's name because he's been in Star Trek before. He was the creepy hologram from Leland Orser is the name of the actor.
I've looked at a lot of memory alpha pages for the episodes we go through. This is one of the shortest.
Yeah. There's not much.
Nothing happens.
Yeah. Pretty, like so. Let's keep going with the recap just for Eris's.
Oh look, I mean, as far as we know, like okay, so Archer and T'Pol steal a car because that's what you do when you're a time traveler in Star Trek. You steal a car and you steal money from an ATM.
Even that scene goes on for longer than it needs to. It's like, oh, we need to get transport, and they go through like 4 cars. To check it. Oh, this one's got an alarm. This one's got a boot on it, so we can't drive it. This one's got a dog in it. Why are you keeping a dog in a car at the middle of the night with the window down? Just is it guarding your car? Anyway, don't do that to your dogs. Don't lock your dogs in the car.
The truck they end up with
is
apparently is the same as the truck from the Future's End one that Tom Paris and stole.
Yes.
So they have a truck that can also be attached to a rig, and that's why they use the truck.
Probably.
Yeah. It's like, just open doors until they find one with cameras in it.
Yeah.
That is pretty convenient. The one that they have a model of in the green screen.
But the whole like that it for the sake of brevity in an episode, like if they were pressed for time, you would just like, oh, they've stolen a car. Yeah. Here's the first car that they go to. But they go through 4 of them because there's nothing else.
There was nothing to cut
in the episode. Yeah. They've padded this episode for length, like fairly obviously, like this and the hamburger scene and a couple other little bits.
I mean, the interrogation where Archer pretends to be a cop and just punches the guy.
It's like fun.
Yeah, he's just like he goes full Kiefer Sutherland on him.
Oh, police brutality.
Yeah, but no, it's okay because he's not actually a cop.
But he's not actually a cop.
He just lets the guy think he's a cop.
Yeah.
Right, which is believable because police do that.
They do.
But on the other hand, the guy was kidnapping people and so aliens could farm their blood.
Yes.
So there is a bit of back and forth on the moral high ground.
Can I tell you what this reminds me of? This reminds me of a more mature version of an episode of Sailor Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Sailor Moon was all about a random alien comes to town, steals people, harvests their energy, and then leaves them to just be little husks of themselves, and then they dip. I love Sailor Moon. Can we talk about Sailor Moon?
I'm just trying to work out if there was a tuxedo mask analog in this episode.
Is there a tuxedo mask? I love him. I love how he does. Every single.
My work here is done.
Yeah. But you haven't done anything.
There's the meme of that happening, but the thing is that like what he does do, like there's the meme of like you haven't done anything, and it's like haha he didn't do anything. I want to point out that in every single episode, even when he does something, the most he ever does is throw a rose at the ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he does. That's the only thing he does. He has one power. And it is throw Rose at ground to interrupt a villain from attacking Sailor Moon. Like a villain will be about to kill Sailor Moon, and then a rose will fly through the sky and land at the villain's feet, and the villain will go, oh, and look down at the ground, and then look up at Tuxedo Mask.
What is this supposed to achieve?
Yeah, and Tuxedo Mask looks and goes, haha, I am Tuxedo Mask. And then the villain just stops fighting Sailor Moon for some reason, and then she can throw her tiara at them, and then they die.
Then that's the conclusion of the episode.
Why didn't she just throw her tiara in the first place?
Because the enemy was attacking her. The enemy needed to be distracted for long enough for her to do the tiara.
It's a turn-based game. He had to wait.
I was going to say, why did she even ever bother keeping her tiara? Why didn't she just keep it in her hand ready?
Because she has to do her stock animation. Because they have the animation of her taking off a tiara and doing the little pose.
Right, so it's a continuity thing.
It's more like so they could recycle the animation.
Yes.
Same as the magical girl transformation.
Yeah, but it is continuity because they've got to go into the stock footage and with this with a certain outfit on.
Yes. That's the point of magical girl animes. It's all padding for time. It saves money because you have the transformation sequences. They're the same every time. You have the attack moves. They're the
Maybe
same
they
every
should have
time.
done that with Archer and T'Pol. Like
Honestly, I
Girl
think Star Trek
transformation.
should have been more like a magical girl anime. Have they ever considered using stock footage of them all transforming into pretty little dresses?
I would argue that this is what the transporters actually are.
I mean, this is what the animation, like the original Star Trek animated series, was very much recycling.
Yes.
Recycling.
But I mean, the
animation.
transporters are literally that. It's like this is the magical transportation sequence that puts you into the scene.
And that was
Yes.
to save budget, so that they
Yeah.
didn't have to film
And
a
they-
ship landing.
And they wear the same uniforms all the time so they can reuse footage from anywhere, and they're always wearing the same outfits.
That's exactly it.
That's the same with, that's why cartoon characters always wear the same clothes. And that's why magical girls transform into their outfits to do their attacks. So they don't have to.
It's also very helpful for like recognizing who they are because
Yes.
like animated faces generally lacking in a bit of definition and distinction.
My favorite thing is how when Sailor Moon transforms into Sailor Moon, no one can tell who she is. It is a canon point of the story that no one knows who Sailor Moon is, even though she has no covering of her face at all, and she has the most distinctive hairstyle of anyone you've ever seen.
It's the Clark Kent. It's the Clark Kent of it all.
She
Like, it's
doesn't
the
even
same.
wear glasses.
Yeah.
She just puts on a tiara and like a short skirt, and no one knows it's Usagi.
Well, let's go more animate. Like animation is it's the He-Man thing. Like Prince Adam and He-Man they look identical. They're the same guy. Like they're
didn't
clearly
even-
the same.
They even have the same action figure.
Same action figure,
Same
same
action figure.
hairstyle, same everything. But nobody knows that Prince Adam is He-Man. So
Yeah.
It was just like it was. I'm sure that they did that at one point. I'm sure they actually sold a Prince Adam action figure in the set. It wasn't the first round, but I think I recall as a child going, "Hang on a minute, they're just trying to sell me the same thing twice."
But like it's, everyone in the show like treats Prince Adam like he's this weak, prissy little, but he's buff as He-Man. Like he's as large as any of the other characters. It's like, oh, you just stay here, Prince Adam. You might get hurt.
I always think about like the grand reveal of like the first season of Sailor Moon is the main villain telling Sailor Moon that she knows her real name and like has a photo of her as like a normal person and also I want to point out that Sailor Moon takes place in like the mid-90s where photographs, magazines, all of these, TV is all happening, and Sailor Moon is like a celebrity in the town.
Yes.
It's very well known that there are like photos of Sailor Moon, like photos taken of her fighting for justice. And there are just photos of her everywhere. She has a video game. There's an arcade game made after Sailor Moon in the Sailor Moon universe with her likeness, and no one knows it's Usagi
Come on,
somehow.
90s video game graphics. That's going to be heavily pixelated.
How could we ever know?
I don't think we could count that.
It's not like there's
It's
one
the cover art.
There's one girl in this
again,
town.
90s video games, the cover art usually had very little relation to the actual content of the game.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the American covers, like Kirby with eyebrows.
Yeah.
I mean, that goes back to
Legend-
goes back to the original Atari 2600.
The Legend of Zelda ones and-
like a Missile Command and Breakout always had these exciting covers.
Yeah.
But it was like the game was like coloured squares. You're supposed to pretend it's a tank,
Yeah.
but it's the coloured squares are moving all by themselves. Ah!
Asteroids, you didn't even have colors. You just had black and white.
Mm.
And a triangle that shot smaller triangles.
God, I love that game.
Damn.
I remember a school camp, where my high school class, we were like at this, I don't, it was in a former convent down in the country.
Of course.
And just when we would go from, there was our base to go for excursions for the school camp thing, right? But in the downstairs break area, common hall area, there was one asteroids machine.
Right.
And we were a bunch of broke ass high school kids. We would scavenge a couple of 20-cent pieces, and 5 of us would play it together, but one on each button, because we were that bored. It was just,
That takes some coordination.
it did.
That's full on Voltron thing, like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
controlling one arm at a time. That's
Yeah.
that's
It
you
was
know,
like one person gets the thruster and one person can go steer left and right. One person's firing and one person's got the hyperspace button. It was like, the hyperspace button was like, oh.
Everyone wants the hyperspace button.
Well, no, it's
because
it's,
Oh, it's stressful.
the guy with the hyperspace button has to know exactly when
you
to press
only,
it.
you only get one
You
go
only
at
get
it.
You
one.
only get one go.
You only
at
get
it.
one go. And it could make things worse. So you've got to like not go until like there's no other choice. It's like,
Right.
yeah, there's two rocks coming at you from side to side, and you go, it's this or nothing.
And you make a big bang on
It's
the
a-
table
it's
with
a-
all the microphones
yeah.
on it.
Yeah. You were tapping before as well.
I know.
One of us went to school for music production.
It wasn't me.
It was not me.
Why aren't you editing our podcast?
Because I'm tired.
And I'm not.
I have chronic fatigue. Leave me alone.
I have a full-time job. That's the same as chronic fatigue.
Yeah, well, that is, yeah.
I have a blood pressure disorder. You
Capitalism.
can't do this to me.
I have a blood pressure disorder.
Mine's low and yours high. It's different.
It's still like a disorder.
I'm perfectly healthy.
Yeah, you're a cishet healthy man.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm going through life on the lowest difficulty setting.
What's
Oh,
it
God damn
like?
it.
Is it fun?
Yeah, it's fine. So Star Trek, eh?
Right. Is this about Star Trek still?
Well,
Kind
when
of
we were in the
like-
recap, we got to the recap at the point where nothing really happens. It's just like they're just
So-
running around like chasing trails of clues.
They steal a car. They've got a tricorder to detect alien life signs, which, by the way, no other Star Trek series has done. Like this, so the thing with
How do
Enterprise.
you distinguish regular life signs from alien life signs?
Biological signatures?
Again,
Because
see, this is the
plot.
thing. This was a video game.
Yeah. but like, so
It's a little radar that beeps.
This is what the tricorder was, just a little thing at the bottom of the screen with the map that shows like a little arrow that.
but
Yeah, it shows you a waypoint.
every other episode where they've got to go back and find aliens in the wrong time period, for some weird plot reason, the tricorder doesn't work. This one, it's just, we'll just follow the tricorder. How long will we have to drive around for? We'll do it in a grid and it won't take long. That was a discussion had in the episode. It's like, we'll just find them. So, and they do find them, but they find them at the exact point that the kidnap face is bringing a guy in a wheelchair to the warehouse. It just so happens. So then they, instead of going into the warehouse where the aliens are, the aliens that they've got to get, they follow the kidnapping guy back to his house to find out
Why?
where they're going.
Okay,
Right.
wheelchair guy,
don't know.
wheelchair guy, right? Okay,
Lawrence Strode.
no. Okay, again, talking about stretching the episode. He
Yes.
spends like how long in the wheelchair guy's apartment, negotiating with him, fooling him into like getting into the car with him and like coming to the blood bank because they're going to pay him because they messed up some paperwork. Really big story, but he's going to chloroform him. The guy's in a wheelchair. He could have just he was in his guy's apartment. He could have just chloroformed him there and just wheeled him down to the car.
Yeah.
He comes
There
with
was
a
no
transportation
need to
device.
negotiate and fool him into thinking that he was going somewhere else in the car if he's just going to chloroform him in the car.
He had the lock across the door.
He was still
it didn't, though.
telling the guy.
No, it didn't. Like after the door was opened.
Yeah.
Like it's just I better get back in time for Conan. That was the end of the scene.
Important cultural reference there.
Yeah. That was that.
See, Arnold Schwarzenegger used to have a talk show.
I see. Didn't he used to be mayor?
A governor.
Governor.
Yeah, governor.
No, sorry.
Governor of California.
There's two people called Conan. That was
Yes.
a joke.
I get it.
Because Arnold also played a guy called Conan,
I see.
the Barbarian,
The
or the
barbarian,
Destroyer.
right.
Hmm.
Anyway,
I was gonna make a reference that's stupid.
but yeah, look, they just
this show is about stupid references.
I was gonna-
Don't censor yourself.
I was
for
gonna-
stupid references.
I was gonna reference that stupid Conan game where you can have a big dingus.
See, that would have been better just straight off the bat. Anyway,
There's a Conan video game where you can customize the size of your dick.
there is.
Or I don't know if you can customize the size of your vagina. I don't know if that's how it works. But you can play as a woman and
You
be
can.
naked. You probably just can customize the size of your tits.
It's-
I think
well, I
the
mean,
video
like-
game just
Well,
thinks of
surely
the
there's
size
just
of
a
your tit size.
slider that starts at 0 for like
That's exactly how they do it.
and like it goes and it's either like on one side of zero it's penis, on the other side of zero it's vagina.
I wish
a better way of doing
I'm
it.
playing a game right now that kind of has that, except it's less explicit. There's a slider for gender.
Well, there's.
I was
the
a
most
teenage
recent-
exocolonist. Play that game. It's a really good game.
The Cyberpunk 2077, you can customize your junk.
But it wasn't as funny because in this current game, literally the only thing you did, like you start the game naked
Mhm.
and you just walk around the desert where there's nothing. And it's an MMO, I think.
Isn't this Ark Survival Evolved?
Well,
Do
don't
you
start
have
that with
dinguses
naked.
in that?
Oh yeah.
But you don't start that naked. You've got it like a loincloth or whatever.
Oh, do you? Oh, do
Yeah.
you have a loincloth? I honestly can't
I think
remember.
Rust, you're starting naked.
Right. I got into Ark at one point. I actually
remember that.
I got into
tried.
it. I was like because it was just I loved that it was so brutally adversarial. But
Couldn't be
people were
me.
like log on with their mates and just wander around looking for stuff to break into and destroy.
Mhm.
And the thing I used to love was I just in my starting character, you pick up a stick or something, so you've got a weapon, and you do the minimum crafting to build like a box, like a box in the middle of the forest.
Mhm.
And you just go and hide in the bushes until some people come along and go, oh, someone's made a box. They must be keeping their precious valuables inside. And they go and start smashing the box. And while they're doing that, you can just run up behind them naked with a stick and just club them to death.
I see. Video gaming.
Video games.
And that was just yeah.
I know that.
That was right. That was the big thing. It's like when you logged off, you didn't disappear. You just lay down and went to sleep wherever you
Yes.
were.
Yep.
So yeah.
There is a game like Ark. I don't think it was Ark. It was a YouTuber. I won't mention the YouTuber just in case they get cancelled. But I remember watching a video. It
happens
was
to them all.
it was a game like Ark, but you couldn't destroy other people's structures. And I remember this because someone else had built a box, like basically just a box on the beach, but they'd built it next to like a little rock that kind of looked like if you timed it just right, you could parkour off the rock into the room. This was a solid box, and like the doors couldn't be opened by anyone but the person who built it. So they were like, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny? I wonder if I could try and get in there by jumping on this rock." And he did it. He got in there. And then soft locked himself because he couldn't break any of the walls or open the doors. And there was nothing to jump off inside the box. So he was just stuck forever in this box.
You are just a person in a box now. This is your universe.
And
Well
I
done.
wonder if that was what that person's plan was when they built the box, see if they could
It's
trap
just a
people.
human trap. It's just a player
That's
trap.
brilliant.
Humans love to jump into
Just
things.
like anytime you log in, you're just like, okay, transfer me all your cash and I'll open the door.
Yeah. Your real life cash. Send me your social security number.
I mean, that's the kind of brutality you'd get in Eve. I finally caved and watched that Eve documentary.
Oh, yeah, there was an Eve
was that the
documentary.
5-hour one?
Yeah.
that you were talking
So
about?
Damo sent me this documentary, linked to a YouTube documentary that was
Yes.
it was 5.5, 6 hours about Eve Online.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I mustn't.
I think one of my friends sent me that.
Yeah.
Or at least they told me that they watched it, I think.
I think it-
Because I think I've mentioned on stream. That,
yeah, because
I mean,
oh
I
my
don't
god,
stream.
I was
I've never streamed in my life.
I was watching parts of that recounting the history and thinking, oh, they really glossed over some stuff there.
They didn't talk about the
Dude.
raid of.
Dude, one of my favorite things.
I
is
mean,
watching
they
video
didn't mention
essays.
Shrike's Titan going down at all. Like the first Titan that got destroyed in actually real-time combat rather than some kind of log-off trickery.
Oh.
This entire episode is the three of us trying to do references that the other two don't understand.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Listen.
That's all
I could
this is.
I could tell it because like one of my favorite things right now is watching video essays about MMOs I don't play. I recently watched one that I was thinking like 2 hours about Wizard 101, which I only ever knew as the game that was in ads on the corner of the Flash game website that you were playing during school when you weren't supposed to be playing Flash games, but you were because it was ICT class, sorry, and so. ICT class was supposed to be the time where you learn how to use Office programs or whatever.
This is how you use Excel to make to make corporations more
No,
money.
it wasn't that because we were all 10. So it was basically like how to make word art. I don't know. Now we don't use word art anymore, which is sad. I miss word art.
Yeah, word up.
My IT class in high school was called informatics.
I like that.
They hadn't even invented IT or anything yet.
It was on stone slates with
BBC Micros, which is pretty much the same thing, but yeah.
Say hi to Maxi. You've done sound clips.
Hi, Maxi.
Tell Maxi to finally add your sound clip to their stream.
Oh,
deck.
was that the Thanks Americans?
Yes.
That we did? Yes.
Tell Maxi to finally do that. I
No.
mean, I don't know who Maxi is. I've never streamed in my life. I'm Eris.
Of course, yes, no. Oh God, we've just fucking no.
No,
Yes.
shut up.
Streaming? What is streaming?
No one knows that streaming is here.
No, you're just like some random local improv comic.
Yeah, I'm a comedian. I'll put it on my resume, on my CV.
Sorry, you're an improv comic.
I'm an
No,
improv
you're not a
comic.
proper comedian.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm naturally funny. Sorry that you have to write your shit.
Yeah, I've got to write it down and remember it.
At least we tell the truth. We don't just go around making things up.
I have not told a lie this whole time. I have been very honest. I've been so honest. I'm so right. I talked about
Dude.
Sailor Moon. I didn't tell a single lie. I haven't gone on my Aespa rant though.
You were brutally honest in your in that show I saw you do with
The improv show?
with the
What did I do? I blacked out during the whole show.
That's the correct way to do improv.
I've never seen
wait,
improv
wait,
in my
wait.
life. I don't know what that is. Apparently in
Yeah,
Canada,
I don't even know who Drew Carey is.
I know a Dropout. I watch Dropout.tv.
Dropout's good.
Dropout's
Dropouts.
Completely, fucking sponsored plug. Yeah, everyone subscribe
Dropout.
to Dropout. It's so good.
Yeah,
Dropout, please. Oh, Brennan and Izzy recently on Dropout. Brennan and Izzy recently did a full hour-long show called Bigger. It's just Brennan and Izzy doing improv for an hour. I haven't watched it yet, but I have to.
I've been watching I've just been rewatching Game Changer, the one that's
Game
on
Changer's so
Plex.
good.
It's
They got Wayne Brady on Make Some Noise.
yeah. I saw the clips of that on the. I haven't watched the actual episode.
Oh
but
god,
No,
yeah,
it's
no, I
so
haven't gone
good.
through that. Yeah.
No, it's crazy. It was on one of the karaoke episodes, so it's a little Wayne Brady doing musical improv, and it's so good.
That'd be like Jonathan Frakes dropping in here.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, it's crazy.
It's like improv god versus. or Dropout's getting bigger and bigger.
Oh, yeah.
it's getting huge now. So they're sort of they're this generation's Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Dropout's
yeah.
great.
The fact
it's
that they've
same.
made a sustainable business out of it is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Just
No, it's
well
incredible.
fucking done.
Sam Reich needs.
I
a
wonder
plea.
if they're interested in a quiz show.
Yeah, Dropout.tv.
We're gonna have to change the name of the quiz.
Oh god. Okay.
They're based in Los Angeles. I don't want to go to Los Angeles. It sounds like a
No.
shithole.
No, it's too much. No,
Sounds like hell.
it does.
Dude, one of my friends who
We're
is
gonna
Not as bad as Detroit, which they go to in the episode of anyway.
Detroit Become Human. Detroit Become Human. I think
Detroit, like where the episode of Enterprise
where it takes place.
Well, I mean, look.
I think Connor should be there.
When this tangent started, I thought, look, let me have quickly pull up the synopsis to see what's left, and there really isn't anything.
No, there's not.
It's just like there's a chase scene, and they waste some time rolling around, and then they have they play a video game with phasers in a warehouse full of boxes.
Mm-hmm.
They slap.
The warehouse of boxes. That's a classic.
They slap the tags on the things. Everything goes back to the future, and they don't even get a mission debrief from Daniels. He doesn't even bother showing up
No.
again.
It's just literally the episode so that they put the tags on, and then all of a sudden they're back on the Enterprise, back in their own.
They didn't even
time.
burn time on a special effects scene.
It
was just like they're just there now.
Cut and they're there, and it's literally 5 seconds after they left because the character that was in 2 scenes, Trip Tucker, is Connor Trenier, is he's there, and he, Archer goes, "Okay, we're back," and he goes, "What are you talking about? Yeah, you barely left." But then all the equipment and bullshit is in the lab for, and plus the bodies.
He
of
looks
the
unimpressed. I
reptilians.
reckon he's gonna. I reckon he's at this point he's already thinking about sending his CV to the Stargate people.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we cut back to the 2004, and Kidnap Face Loomis is getting arrested by the police and going, "Oh, they were reptilians and they had ray guns. You got to be careful." Yeah, sure, buddy.
Speaking of ray guns, we haven't shown him
We
the
have
clip yet.
not mentioned Ray Gun,
We have
the
not-
Olympian.
The ray gun.
This is the segue
I've-
that I wanted.
I've been hearing about this. Okay, so
All right. So,
as it-
when is this episode coming out?
Yeah,
when
that's the thing.
when
This
it
is-
does.
Cool.
We're a few episodes behind this, so this is probably going to come out like in a month's time after this is all over.
Yeah, it's
But
all so boring to
as
people
of-
listening now.
as
No, I think
of
this one's the next
time-
one, but
As of the
Yeah.
time of recording, the Ray Gun performance
This is
at
hot
the
news.
Olympics
This is hot current news.
is very recent for us. It's just happened in the last couple of days. So and Mick has not had the pleasure.
He has not seen it yet. I couldn't, because it's the Olympics and there aren't like proper clips of it online unless you subscribe to whatever service. The only good clip of it I could find has a dude's face in front of it and he's just reacting to it. So you're just going to see some dude in front of it and don't worry about it.
Now,
I'm also
this-
going to not have the audio on.
This is the Olympic breakdancing for the 2024 Paris Games.
The
The Australian entrant, Ray Gun.
okay, that's a kangaroo bit. That's
the crawl,
yeah.
the Bart Simpson, and then the fall over,
I-
and then the crocodile,
Right. Yeah.
and then the sprinkler.
That
It's so good.
okay.
That's literally
That,
something that like you or I would do drunk at a wedding.
that looks like me. Like
Even when Eris gets married, that's gonna be you at the wedding. Like that's gonna be at the reception. That's gonna be you in the middle of the dance floor. That's gonna be the father-child dance.
that's like a fucking entry level improv troupe with the Australian breakdancing champion.
The fact that she opens it with the kangaroo hop
Yeah,
is so funny. And my favorite move, I think, is the underrated one. Is the one where she like turns into like a. I think she's mimicking a crocodile.
Yeah.
Where she just goes.
I think my favorite was like when she was doing the turnaround on the floor. Like
You're kind of mocking this, but like.
No, I think it's glorious.
No,
I think-
that's inspiring. I never
it is pretty
thought I could be an Olympian.
No, it is very inspiring.
I
It
never-
also is an extremely Australian move.
It's absolutely like people on the internet are going, "Oh, that poor woman, she's going to be mocked to death when she gets back to Australia." And it's like, no, we're going to throw her a fucking parade.
No, it's
Like,
pretty funny.
It's great.
You know, all of her friends back home are losing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I described it to you earlier because you didn't know what it was. And I said, you were like, oh, what's it about? And I said, imagine if Janet from reception had gone up and done breakdancing. And I stand by that. It's like they lost the Australian breakdancing competitor on the way to Paris. And they're like, can we get
We've got to get someone on stage right now.
Janet, can you do it? Oh, yes, I can.
I'll give it a go.
I'll give it a go. I know a couple moves.
Yeah, hang on. I think I brought me tracky dacks.
Oh yeah, she's wearing such tracky decks.
They are
too.
very definite tracky decks.
It's like the least cool breakdancing outfit I've ever seen. Like I know it's like the Olympian like sports uniform, but truly the baggiest polo shirt and tracky decks.
It's magnificent.
It's really a
it's
moment.
Just chef's kiss.
It's really a moment that's gonna go down in history. I think this is an Australian moment.
We should have her on the podcast.
Yeah.
I
That's
really hope.
Ray Gun, if you're out there.
No, she's way out of our league now.
I really hope that my friends will start referencing Ray Gun instead of Harold Holt walking into the ocean.
Yep.
I have a lot of American friends, and oh boy, they love talking about Harold Holt. I'll get them to start referencing Sovereign Hill.
Sovereign Hill. Yes, that's yeah. Let's take Sovereign Hill to the international stage.
Yeah, I think if my friends ever come to Australia, I should take them to Sovereign Hill, and we
Yeah,
can go panning for gold.
We're gonna pay for gold. We're gonna go see the Eureka Stockade light and sound experience. That's literally just lights and sound. That's all it is.
No, there was little dioramas and displays.
Yeah,
I
but
remember.
They don't move or anything.
Yeah,
They
remember.
light them up.
I remember being a kid and thinking it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember being very disappointed as a kid because I thought it was going to be cooler than it was.
Well, maybe it got cooler when I got there.
I definitely did some kind of school trip there, but I can't remember a single thing about it.
It's a moment that all Victorian kids have to go through.
I remember when I went to Sovereign Hill, one of the guys in costume was one of the actors from the television series Thunderstone. which I was a fan of at the time. Thunderstone was basically Mad Max for children.
Right.
But instead of gasoline, it was Thunderstone, which was like this blue rock that powered the cars.
It's
and
also
driving things.
coincidentally what you used to evolve Jolteon.
Yes.
Australian kids TV did some wild shit.
Yeah,
I
really.
miss-
Spellbinder still holds up.
I miss
don't
High
care who you
Five.
say.
Just take a random bunch of kids, throw them like some special sparkly sci-fi effects around them, and just let them loose in a bush
Oh my
somewhere.
God.
It's
The
like-
Oh,
thing is,
that's another
the
Australian-
thing
that's
with
another-
Australian television, like back in the 90s, back when, like in the golden age of these television shows,
No, because that was before the fairies.
the fairies,
And and the fairies gave us Wizzy the Wizard,
right?
an iconic character that again another reference that my friends make. My international friends now know who Wizzy the Wizard is because I won't stop talking about him because I think he's so
also,
funny.
Eris went to Round the Twist Primary.
Yeah.
I did go to Round the Twist Primary.
The point I'm trying to make is that like network television back then had a quota of television's content, of children's television content that they had to make. They had to do a certain number of hours each year of new Australian-made children's content.
I think Canada has the same thing.
Yeah.
It might be a Commonwealth thing.
Nowadays with streaming, like it's not like a thing much anymore.
That's sad.
But
Australian
back
shows are
then,
great.
like that's why we had Spellbinder. That's why we had Thunderstone. That's why we had Ocean Girl. And
These are all before me.
Farscape.
Farscape was less of a kids
No,
show.
I know,
can
but it was
tell-
like that kind of like. I'm sure it was definitely a quota.
Oh, one of the best
See, no,
Australian kids shows.
Farscape. That
No,
was like
I'm being
a
interrupted.
thing
he
because like,
really
it was
likes talking about Farscape.
Yeah.
it was cheaper to make
That's a
stuff in Australian
community
studios.
reference
Now you
for
can go.
I was gonna say, you say Golden Era was your Golden Era, but that's what everyone thinks because they were a kid when that
yes,
happened. Listen,
Golden Era was Buddy Skippy the Bush Kangaroo.
best kids show that I remember was Mortified. That's an Australian kids TV show, and that show was about a girl who was like, I think she was like 11 when the show started, and she lives by the beach, and she has two hippie parents who run like an underpants store at the mall, and they're so embarrassing, and that's why it's called Mortified, because she's so embarrassed of her parents, and all she wants to do is be a normal kid, and her parents are so embarrassing because they're interesting people who do interesting things like surf, and her dad goes through a midlife crisis at one point and buys like a cool car, and it's like, and it's all this show about this kid, and I just remember it being one of the only shows I've ever seen that shows a kid going from primary school to high school in Australia, because specifically she still looks like a 12-year-old when she starts high school.
Yeah.
And I remember specifically that because like whenever I feel like there's always that dissonance where primary school characters are always played by like primary school characters, but high school characters are always played by adults.
Yeah.
And this was the first time it was like a 13-year-old playing a kid going to high school in Australia, because for those who don't know, in Australia, high school is 13 to 18.
Yes.
We don't have middle school.
No, we
like,
don't.
so you'll have like 13-year-olds in high school, and it was the first time I ever saw like a little kid in like the big high school uniform that's too big for her, like going to high school and seeing all the.
It's not like the costuming department could fit her to a thing.
That's real though.
Yeah.
When you're 13, you get your high school uniform, and you don't want to size it
That-
down because
yeah,
you grow
true.
into it, and then you don't want to buy another uniform because it's expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So you just wear like if you have a tailored high school uniform when you're 13, that means your parents have money because those things are expensive.
True.
I
fuck
remember
this.
I remember my skirt for my high school costs like $80 to $100
Good
for one
Lord.
skirt, and that was secondhand.
Mm.
And like then you have to get at least 2 shirts, a jacket, or like and like I got pants. You have to wear a specific kind of shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Like they get expensive.
To be fair though, like a lot of that stuff is extremely hard wearing though.
Yes.
It's
Oh, it's
just
so
like-
hard wearing.
The stuff is indestructible.
You
The
wear
stuff's
you wear one skirt for 6 years every day.
The stuff's indestructible, but also at 13 you're still growing. So
Oh,
you
yeah,
grow
yeah,
out of
yeah.
it. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
That's why you
that's
don't
why it's
size
all
it
fitting.
down.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why it gets a hand me down, and like like the local op shops are always full of like the local high school.
Yeah. And I think the high school skirts at my place, they had like buttons around the edges so you can make them tighter
Ah,
around
yeah,
the edges
yeah,
as
yeah.
well.
I'm just
We-
saying,
we-
if
we've-
there is anything we specifically want to wrap up about this episode.
Look, I've already mentioned Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Like, this is the episode that he nearly made him quit acting because he hated putting the prosthetics on, like the outfit. And like he's in it for like what 4 scenes max. Like he's got barely any lines, and it's like, oh, this is too much fucking effort. Meanwhile, Ron Perlman's over there, dressing up as fucking Vincent in Beauty and the Beast, and just going fucking amateur. But
I don't know who that is.
the dad from Supernatural.
Why does he have 3 names?
I don't know. Cause
Wait, do you guys know about the Supernatural killing your gays thing?
killing your gays is
It's
not
just them. No.
Supernatural.
No, but
That's every
Supernatural,
show.
but Supernatural did it so good.
They did it frequently.
Wait, do you know about the big kill your gays moment at the end of Supernatural?
Yes.
Where finally the big ship that everyone had been shipping for years,
Destiel.
Cass finally confesses his love to Dean, and he immediately gets sent to super hell.
Yeah.
Immediately. Because he confessed his love, he got sent to super hell.
And then Dean trips over and dies on a rusty nail or something.
Yeah, no, there's more to it than that. Because
I mean, that's enough.
Dean says, "Don't do this, Cass," and then Cass dies. And Dean makes the most homophobic face you've ever seen in your life. It's like, it became the meme of like, that's the face of homophobia right there. It's like you get confessed to by a guy and you're just like, don't do this, Cass. And he actually rescues Cass from the empty or super hell off screen in a scene that we never see. One of the series' most beloved characters is rescued off screen and we never see him again. And also, this is a fun, I don't know if you know this, either of you know this, in the Spanish dub, Destiel is canon.
Oh, glorious.
Because in the Spanish dub, instead of saying, "Don't do this, Cass," Cass says, "Te amo," which, number one, is explicitly romantic love in Spanish, confirming that, yes, Cass did mean it romantically and gaily. And then Dean responds, "Y yo a ti, Cass," which means, "and I you," like, "and I love you too." So Destiel is only canon in Spanish, which I think is great.
Yep.
And it also started a whole conspiracy theory in the fandom that like the Spanish dub had the original script it's a whole thing. There's a whole rabbit hole of people.
I think the producers just didn't know how to speak Spanish.
I fell out of Supernatural in about season 8, and like I've only sort of
You got to season 8?
I got to season 8. Yeah.
I never watched a single episode of Supernatural.
No, I was infatuated with the show for the first 5 years. I still stand by the first 5 years as
Do you
some
ship
of the best.
Destiel?
I did a bit.
Yeah.
But like it's sort of I sort of I'm a cishet white man.
Gross.
That-
But continue.
I know it's gross. So like homoerotic undertones. It's like I've got blinkers on. I need to have them pointed out.
Oh.
So like I don't see them naturally.
Gay people,
The
we
Spurk
see them
thing-
immediately.
Exactly. Like the Spurk thing, I didn't know about. Like I've seen all of Star Trek,
Yeah.
but I didn't pick up on it until I started reading about it. Like in a previous episode, we've discussed it, and it
which
like,
I'm sure you've listened to.
it
Yes.
literally opened up a whole new way of watching the show. It was
Yes.
like watching a whole new show again. So it was great.
No,
but like
I love
it's
it.
not something that like occurs to me naturally.
No, you have to look
probably
for
more
it.
nowadays, but
Listen, the thing is about the gay people are still suffering from the Hays Code, even though it's been overturned.
Yeah.
Where like gay people are just not in TV or movies, and so what happens is
or
that
you,
when
or you have one gay character.
you have one and they die,
Yeah,
and
it.
they die or they don't get a happy ending.
Star Trek literally did that, but then they sort of like they got criticism for it,
Yes,
and they resurrected the gay character in the stupidest way possible.
Yeah.
through magic mushrooms.
They still maintain that was a plot. That was a plan the whole time. It's like there's
I
no
don't believe
way.
them. I do
no,
not
neither do
believe
I.
them.
Neither
Like,
do I.
They killed off Dr. Culber. This is Star Trek Discovery, so a different show, different
Yeah,
show than this one
different show.
entirely. But like they killed off the Doctor, and like he's was in a relationship with another gay character in the show, so they can't have two in the one show.
right. They can have two.
So they killed off one, but like then the next season he gets brought back through literally magic mushrooms. Like they go to the mushroom dimension and he's there because reasons.
Yeah,
Like-
that's where all gay people go when they die. I can't wait to die and go to the mushroom dimension. Actually, I would hate that. I hate mushrooms.
Yeah.
I have to go.
Yeah.
I have to. Oh, where would I go if I die? What gay dimension do I go to?
I don't know.
I have to think about it. I have.
So much for improv.
I'm sorry.
Say, don't think.
I looked at my dad hoping that he would have a funny, witty answer, and he didn't.
I'm sorry, I don't have a script.
You do. It's right here.
Anyway, look, I don't have anything more to say about the episode. We should probably wrap up.
There really wasn't much to say about that. Like I knew this would be a tangential one because there's not much to say. It was like it has no consequence at
Pretty
all.
much.
Can I recap the episode to
Yeah,
see
go
if
on.
I got
Absolutely.
it?
Okay.
So it opens on some guy, Jack the Ripper, kidnapping prostitutes, whores. We'd love to see it. He specifically kidnaps prostitute number 2 because prostitute number 1 didn't care about. Took him to a warehouse, maybe harvested organs, maybe I don't fucking know. Aliens, they're aliens, and then it's an hour on the spaceship, and some guy is like, "You got to go time travel right now," even though that defeats the purpose of time travel. And so guys go back in time. They get a hamburger at McDonald's, but it's not a McDonald's because we don't have the license to use that. And then they go to a car, and that's not the right car. And then they go another car, and that car's too hot. And the next one's too cold. And the fourth one is just right. And so they get in the car, and then they go to the place where the aliens are, but then they decide, fuck that. This wheelchair guy is really interesting. And so they go to the wheelchair guy's house, and they talk with him for a while about, I don't know, whatever. And then the wheelchair guy gets knocked out, and then they take the wheelchair guy back to the place where maybe and then they go and they get the aliens, which they could have gotten already, and they put a special little QR code on the thing, and they say it's done now, and then they go back. But they don't really go back because it just hard cuts, and now they're back.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
It's close enough.
yeah. Like
Near enough. Sorry, one thing I did want to bring up was the reason they're collecting all these people is they've got to
Right.
get one of each type of each blood type, like Pokemon. They've got to catch them
Right.
all.
They gotta catch them all.
But the reason they need the blood types is so they can develop a virus that's going to infect all of humanity.
I don't think blood types really affect viruses.
That's my point. That's what I wanted to bring up. It's like, why do you need to kidnap people? Why?
Yeah, I feel like if you went to the blood, if you went to the
America in 2004. I'm sure you could just mail order blood if you wanted to. It's like you could just please send me. Yeah, I'd like to buy one of each type of blood for science reasons.
Yeah.
Please ship it to here.
yeah, I
But
think
no, kidnap the entire human.
get away.
Why even bother time traveling before you've got the virus? I mean, why not just like build the virus in the future and then time travel with it?
I think because
Well, because I imagine that the bacteria would be different in the past and the future, so people would have different
But human
immunities.
blood's
see
probably still the same.
that
No,
makes
no.
much more sense than the writers.
Yeah, because if you're in the future, human blood is probably adapted to different things. So if you go back to the past, you wouldn't want to test a virus on future blood because they would probably have different immunities and properties than past blood. I knocked the microphone, but because viruses mutate over time. We know this for reasons.
This is why we get a flu shot every year, is because it mutates. If we go back to 500 years ago and infect them with the modern flu, they would die immediately.
Yeah, imagine bringing Jesus back and then he just bloop, dies. And then we have to go get him out of a cave 3 days
Yeah.
later.
On that note,
Anyway,
Come back next episode.
Eris, do you have anything you want to plug or any like socials you want to mention? There's like
No.
yeah, because like
no, I've never been on the internet before in my life.
Neither do we.
Where the hell are we? Where the hell are we?
How Much for Just the Podcast is a Grouse Media production. The theme music you heard was the Picard rap by Nikolai Kingsley.
Where the hell are we?
For all links to our stuff, we have lots of stuff, go to prettygrouse.com.
There are 4 lights. Irrelevant. Irrelevant. Shut up.
Anyway, so Espa in the Supernova music video, I think it really encapsulates the idea of Giselle is actually a star that's yet to explode, and the other girls are actually already supernovas that have already exploded, and so they're doing things like setting things on fire, and like manipulating air, things like this. All of these things occur for supernovas to occur, and so they're all trying to stimulate Giselle into exploding, into becoming a supernova, and that's expressed through the other girls' superpowers, such as super strength and the air manipulation and the fire. And Giselle has like this kind of like power to control time, but she doesn't seem to be aware that she can control time. So it's kind of like they're all aliens. Anyway, that was the Esper thing.